Now, as the interviewer has already given the indication that we have to exactly use the shuffle method because he wants to know that how much collections API the candidate knows. Let's go to this collections API. I'm using JDK 11, so I'm with this. So we can see that there are two shuffle methods here. One just pass the list, and the other also allows us to pass this random generator as well. The first one says that randomly permutes the specified list using a default source of randomness, and here we can even provide our the unique random class that we want to shuffle with. Let's make click this. So here it has given a lot of information, but you can check. Now let's go back to the code now. So I will print it like say 5 times. Okay, 5 times I will generate the sample, random samples, and I will just pass it to a print list because we are expecting the sample of size 4 from this list of data. So I will create a method here on this object, random sampling, using shuffle, and I will pass this as a random parameter here because as we mentioned that there are two, we can pass this random or we can just use the default Java API randomness. Okay, so let me create this method. So alt enter, create method randoms using this. So it will be returning with the list of integer, and here I'm going to pass the random and random of this. Okay, so first we are going to pass null, which means that we are going to use this method first. Now if I will check a check here that if random is equal to null, then we simply call collections.shuffle. Okay, and we pass this data, which is our list which we have already created, and just data, right? Because random is null here. Otherwise, if the random is provided, then we have to use else. I mean, then the random is provided by the user. So it means that we can just pass this collection.shuffle along with random. Okay, so this covers both of the shuffle that is provided in the API, both this and this, where we are passing this random. Okay, and now once our data, the list of it is like already shuffled. Now we have already got a random sample of size. We can just create a sample size of 4. Okay, so for this we can just return data dot sublist. This is like slicing the shuffled list of integers that we already used, create shuffled it, sample size. Okay, so by this we are going to just take the sample of 4 and return it as a list. So this sublist method is used here. So this problem is very much about that how much the API that you know in Java. So now let's run this test case and see. Before I run this, let's go through that what we have done so far. So we created our sampling test in which we are in the unit test itself. We are creating a list of integer of from 1 to 10 by using stream.iterate, which is a very good util way to create this huge set of list. Here we are using 10 and sample size of 4, and then we pass these 2 parameters to the constructor of random sampling, and we create a setup method first that before we run any test case, we should know that what is the original list and what is the sample size. And after that, we created the first unit test case where we are going to use the collection.shuffle method. And here we are trying to print multiple times to see whether that the random data is created every time that we run. That is a problem statement. And we are just using the first default way of shuffle, the overloaded method without the random parameter. And here, if we go to the random sampling class, so we are using shuffle by the default random, which is used in the collections API itself. And after that, we will write another unit test case where we are actually going to pass the random object. And then once this data is shuffled, after that, we create a sublist. We slice this with the sample size and return it back. So this was all about this whole walkthrough of this code. Now let's run it and see. So I click on the run method now. Okay, so now look at the output. So original list was 1 to 10 as given. Sample of size 4, right? So every time it's going to give me the random sample of 4. As you can see, we have run it 5 times. Every time it's quite random. If I run it again, it would be again totally different. So let me run it again. So it's quite random here again. If multiple times we are going to run it, it's going to every time it is going to give me the random sample of 4 out of this 10 integers. So guys, this was the very first problem unit test case. Now let's do for the second unit test case where we are going to pass an actual random object. So for this, I will just copy this previous test because we are just going to pass a random value, right? So I just control V. So random sampling using Collections.shuffle method with thread local random. Okay. Now about this thread local random, let me also add it here with given random. Okay. And here I will just pass thread local random dot current. Now this is very important point here, that why I'm using this thread dot local dot random dot current. Why not you just use the new random? This is very important point that since Java 7, this thread local random was introduced, and this is advised that this is the much better than the original random object because it guarantees like more randomness. It's already tested with the Java creators who actually write those APIs, and they have guaranteed that this is much better than the original new random object. And we should always use, since Java 7, everybody is on Java 7 at least, or Java 8. So everybody should use thread local random dot current instead of the original new random object. So by saying this point also, yes, gives a very good impression on the interviewer that you are aware of the Java APIs and you know that what has been changing in the random classes and which is the best method available in the Java API to generate random numbers. So the answer is always use thread local random dot current. So let's run this method and see whether it creates the random numbers. So I click on the run button here. Okay, so it has created original list is 10, sample of size 4 is quite random. If I run it again, it would be giving me another random set. Yeah, so it's again random. If I click it again, it's going to give me again random sample of 4. Okay, so I think we are done with the very first part of this problem, that we have to use Collections.shuffle method, and we tried with both providing the null, the default random which is used by Collections API itself, or we can also pass the thread local random, which is the better class, the better new class, which should be always used for random number generations. We covered this both. Now in the next video, we'll do a follow-up where we'll use Collections.swap method. So see you all in the next video.